Yo, what's up? And oh, did I? Okay, no, it just looks weird on camera. That's all. Okay, just the lighting. It's kind of off in here. I was like, is there something on my face? But no, there's not. But anyways, hi. If you don't know, my name is Katarina, and this is Katarina's Garage. You don't have to say it like that. Just sometimes I do because it's kind of fun. But yeah. So, anyways, I'm live, and this time it's at a better time than when I normally do this because last time I did this quite late, to be honest, and I didn't really have any viewership for an hour, so I just said screw it and I edited it. But it was all good. I had like 2 viewers and no comments, and it happens, right? I mean, I don't prompt these ever, and that was like a really late night one. Like I think I started that one at like midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, so I understand why I didn't have much for people. Totally understandable on that one. But yeah, although if you didn't see in my thumbnail, I've got a really cool SteelSeries keyboard now. Like this thing, which I will be using because I love this keyboard. And you can see it slowly changes color all throughout it. It just kind of moves from left to right. The color shifts, and it's really cool. I've always loved these. They're considered like an RGB, it's red, green, blue keyboard. And they're just super cool. And the fact that all the keys light up and everything, and underneath the keys, and I like that. But like something interesting because like there is an auction coming up in Olds, and I mean, I've already done a video on that. Although I might go back and do another video because like there's some motorcycles and stuff like that I'd be interested in filming there as well. And there might even be some other stuff. I don't know. Like I still haven't seen the full auction listings yet because they're not all up yet. Like they won't be up for about another week or so. It's my guess because I mean it starts. I think it's April 16th or something like that. It's April 7th now, so they still got time. But it's just a little interesting, right? And I do, I do I do like, going to the auction and stuff like that and checking out vehicles. And, there's some vehicles that I checked out that were just really, really cool. And, I can't wait to kind of show you guys that stuff. And you'll see what vehicles I'm actually like excited about this auction and what vehicles I'm not. Because, I mean, the video's over half hour long. The cool stuff is towards the end of the video. But, and just like even there's a couple of really rare vehicles in there, 3 of them total, that I would say really rare. Like a lot of Neva. There was a 74. I think it's 74 Mazda pickup truck. And, just stuff like that. And there was what was the last one? Oh yeah, and a Lincoln Mark LT, which is an interesting vehicle to see. You don't see them very often. They're basically just a rebadged Ford, but they're kind of cool to see. They're not as cool as say a Blackwood though, because like a Blackwood is actually unique, right? It's not just badges and a grill, because that's what a Lincoln Mark LT is. And oh, okay, that actually is something. How did I get like ketchup or something stuck on the bottom of my chin? That's 100% what that is. How the hell did that happen? I knew something looked off on camera. There we go. That's better. Yeah, I think I got it all. That's funny. Oh my god, I've never had that happen before. But I don't even know what would have caused that. That's kind of interesting. But yeah, no. Honestly, I'm just quite, just kind of happy with how everything's going. Being able to drive my car again, and now I've actually swapped places with 2 cars. Which if you haven't seen my last video, go check that out. It's not like my best video ever, but it's a loosen update video. and to kind of show you guys how I actually got the car unstuck. I wish I would have actually captured all that on camera. I should have. Mistake though, because it's actually a great off-roading tip actually. What I did, and or even just dealing with ice or anything like that, like I just did. But oh well, it is what it is, and it's just one of those deals. But yeah, if anybody has, I don't have any viewers currently. It's been flopping back and forth from one to none. But yeah, like honestly, I am, I'm just waiting for car season to start back up again because there's still snow. Like the roads are pretty much clear of any like snow or ice, but there's still like a bunch of rocks and stuff like that. They haven't gotten the street sweepers out yet. There's a bunch of dirt, obviously, still on the roads, and like it's been fun because like I've been driving the convertible for the most part for the past couple of days, but today I took my 81 out. I took Stitch out, and honestly, because driving the car is like sort of I didn't drive them back to back per se, but driving Lilo yesterday, Stitch today, and now I didn't launch Lilo. I will say that because the one thing is with launching Lilo, it's kind of interesting because the tack doesn't currently work. The gauge itself is fine. There's an adapter that you need because of the MSD box is the reason why it doesn't work. And I don't have that adapter, so that's the reason why the tack doesn't work. But the part is like $150, which is ridiculous. Like for a little adapter that you shouldn't need, but for some reason MSD is just stupid like that. I like MSD products. However, that 6A box that needs that is kind of dumb. But it is what it is, right? And there's not much changing that. But and like in my last video that I posted, it was this morning. There's not much, like it's not really getting a ton of views or anything, but it's fine. I don't really expect it to get a bunch of views. Like that's the one thing. I don't really expect many of my videos to do incredibly well. It's just sometimes I got videos that just absolutely kind of explode, and like if basically it gets like 1,000 views within less than 24 hours, I know it's gonna do fairly well. But if it's only getting like right now that video, it's been up for 6 hours and it's only at 210 views, I know it's not going to really do too much better than that, to be honest, which I'm not surprised about. It's all good. Like I'm not worried about that at all. And that's the one thing with my channel is if I do a video and it kind of bombs, that's okay. I just hope that the videos that I spend a lot of time and energy doing, that those are the ones that do better. But it's interesting because typically that's not the case, excluding like some of my junkyard tours, which there are plans to do more junkyard tours in the future, and even getting back down to that junkyard that's in Tilly. I was trying to think because what part was I thinking of trying to find down there, and I can't remember what it was. It eludes me at this point, but we'll figure out. Like I'll figure it out, and I do want to get back on there. So that not only because I would love to film the rest of it because I only filmed mainly the Fords. I would love to do a bunch, like a few different videos down there. Filming the Mopars that he has, filming the Euro slash Japanese vehicles, filming the GM products because I didn't film very many GM products, right? And it's just kind of funny because when you watch that video, every time we pop a hood, we go, nope. We get disappointed every time we see a V8, to be honest, which is hilarious. Normally, you're excited to see a V8, not the other way around. But we were looking for specific parts for an inline six, and what's interesting because some of the parts that we even got, we were only able to retain use one part, to be honest, which happened to be the bell housing tin. Because the bell housing was wrong and everything else was pretty much wrong. So, and I had a flywheel, so we're going to try and reuse that flywheel, but I think that's a 4-cylinder flywheel, which I'm not sure if it actually would work with the inline six. That's one I never really looked into, but, that's fine. And yeah, it's just interesting. And like in next week, I should have the Vruck gone. It's already been paid for, so just waiting on that. And it's just gonna be a little bit. That's okay. Um, and like the cars, it's interesting because like they're both having a little bit of troubles, but actually, and I had a thought the other day. I need to see if I still have the box. I'm pretty sure I do somewhere. I believe I can fix the one sort of cable or the one because if you don't know, I had an issue with the cylinder number 1 actually on my 81 Mustang. The plug wire was not working. It had 0 ohms of resistance, which is a problem. So once I, dealt with that, it's somewhat okay now, but I don't know. I don't think that wire I replaced it with is really any good. I bought it brand new, but it's just slightly off for something. I need to figure that out. But it's one of those things where with these old cars, you'll come across little issues here and there, and that's fine. Even like, and it's sad because those like brand new wire set that I bought, I think it was like last year, and I built both wire sets for the cars. Now I didn't build them myself, to be fair. I did actually have friends build those for me. Just because I don't have crimpers. I should have crimpers and wire strippers. I don't have either of those here. Because if I did, different story. I could do more wiring jobs. And I could actually, move because I do want to actually, with the fog lights, I do want to move them out a little bit. But it's just one of those deals, And I'm just very excited for the car season ahead, and it's not terribly long now for 2 events. So like I'm seeing Disturbed May 10th in Edmonton. So if you happen to be there, come look out for me. You'll see me around. And then on May 13th, there's the Dyno Day. So Stitch is going to be on the dyno, and we'll see how much power she makes, which it's going to be a pretty good number, actually, I think. Just every time I drive it, it just feels so, like, not super fast, because don't get me wrong, like, I've driven way faster cars than that, obviously, way faster. But it feels fast for what it is. And that's one of those things. And there's a guy, because I bought the bell housing and the flywheel off this guy. He had a 66, and he did the easier route and went to a V8 to get more power. But it's interesting because that's the easier route to a certain degree, but it actually takes a lot of work to do that, like a lot of work. And that's just something that you don't really. More people are less inclined to do that kind of work to their car because apparently like you need to replace the K member on those. Obviously motor mounts are completely different, the transmission is different, the rear end is different, the brakes are different, the suspension is different, like everything is different. Where on a Fox body, if you want to do a conversion, it's a little easier, where you can literally, on an inline 6 Fox body, you can just replace the K member, keep the stock suspension, and you're okay. You might be a little lower on the front end because you don't have as thick of springs up front, but that's fine. And I like something, and I do want to try this trick, and I'd have to get a couple of footballs and just see. Because there's this trick I've heard of that if you want to stiffen up the rear end, that literally you just put a couple of footballs in between the springs on the back, and you inflate them, and then they actually will be a lot better. It increases stiffness out back without putting shocks in it. So that's something that I might actually do, because especially for the summertime, just run it like that the entire time. Then winter, take them out. And the reason for that is because like in the summertime, I do need a little stiffer spring in the back or stiffer shocks because of if I have any weight in the car whatsoever, I do get tire rub with my big tires. So that's something I'm gonna try. I've heard the trick works, and it's may as well try it. What's the worst that can happen? I pop a couple of footballs because I inflate them too much. But yeah, it's one of those things. I've always wanted to try some of these old school hot rod tricks and see what all works and what doesn't. Because there's a bunch of them, and I've already tried one and it worked. Which is flipping the vacuum source for the vacuum advance for the distributor. It really did make a difference. Now, when you're full sort of throttle that way, you're not really making much of a vacuum at that point. But the one thing is, when you get a source that actually has better vacuum, you don't have to use near as much throttle to get up to speed. That's the beauty of it. And I love that about that thing. So, it's faster. And it's faster than my convertible. Now I need to launch the convertible just to confirm and to figure out feel-wise too which one's faster. And I'm almost guaranteeing that my 81's faster. Although it would be nice to have them side by side and, go like that, which who knows, maybe I'll see, because even though this weekend is Easter weekend, I'm not sure if I'm doing anything for Easter at this point. Zero clue if I am or not. But because if not, and then my buddy Joseph, T Mechanic, he might be coming out actually. He might do videos on both the cars. And something I do want to do, this will be a video from my channel, is a race between the two cars. So I'll take footage from his phone, on the dash. I'll take footage from my phone. And, we'll do it that way. Now, too bad we didn't, and he might have a third device, because if he has if he has another device, perfect. That'd be fantastic. Because I don't, or I do, I could use one, because I want a stop line as well. And I don't know, because I have never measured it out of what exactly is, about a quarter mile or so, but I'm pretty sure my 81's faster. Now, I mean, my 81 does have better gears. It's got 355s versus 273s. It has a limited slip versus an open rear end. It also has a T5 versus a C5 automatic. So that's one thing. It weighs less too. The convertible only so the convertible weighs somewhere around 3,000 pounds, maybe 3,100. I'm not sure the exact weight of that thing, but my 81 is right around 2,700 pounds, so it's quite a bit lighter too, right? And so lighter, little less power, but I actually think it might be putting down, well, because I know that Lilo only puts out 130 wheel horsepower. This I know because I got a dyno tuned at a very reputable shop, so that's not a lie. But the other stuff with it, it's just one of those things. And I'm wondering, of what Stitch is going to make on the dyno. And I'll know May 13th. And you all will know shortly after that, to be honest. Because that evening I'll probably upload or try and upload all the videos and then edit the one big long video together. Because what's going to happen is all these cars, they're going to mail a dyno. I'm not going to do any promotion for these videos whatsoever. They'll just give me singular videos, and I'll just let YouTube do its thing. Except for when it's my car in the full video, I'll promote those. Because it's going to be a bunch of, clips that are going to be uploaded, and then all those clips are going to be edited into one video that way too. So it's just kind of a cool thing that, I'll be doing with the kind of YouTube that way, because I've never done that before. So I've taken clips to promote stuff, but I've never actually uploaded all my clips as separate videos, right? So it's really kind of going to be an interesting day. It's going to be a long day too. Because chances are what's going to happen is when me and my dad go up to see Disturbed, what's going to happen is I'm going to take my own car. He's going to take his Magnum, we're gonna drop my car off at my buddy's place, and then I'm after the concert gonna be dropped back off there. I'll stay there for a couple nights, and when the Dino Day comes along, I'll just leave from there to go to Devon instead of try to come from here, right? Because it's a lot more distance. It's actually gonna cost me less. So staying up there a couple days as opposed to being down here. So it works out really well for me, very well. And I can't wait for that, to be honest, and see what kind of power it makes. Because like my rough estimates, I'd be excited if it makes. It's pretty funny. I'd be excited if it makes 110 wheel horsepower and about 200 foot-pounds of torque to the wheels. I'd be excited about that. But who knows? It might make more. It might make less. I don't know. We'll find out. And then actually something I should. I'm gonna text Paul actually to see. I'm just gonna ask Paul how his Cosworth is coming along. There we go. Just ask him that. And yeah, so after that, we'll see. Because there's gonna be a drag race posted to my channel, which is gonna be cool. Because this drag race is going to be between the two cars. It's gonna be between his Cosworth and my Mustang. Now, I think I make more power. I know I make, or at least I think I make a little more horsepower. I know I make more torque. He's got fuel injection on his side. I'm carbureted. I've got a limited slip. He doesn't. He weighs about 200 pounds less. He's got 373s. I've got a limited slip. Right? That is going to be an interesting race. And who wouldn't want to tune into that? Cosworth Vega versus inline 6 fox body. Which one's faster? Mine's modified. His is stock, but still. Those things were kind of modified from the factory. They've got a very beautiful header on them. And, like I'll review that car too. Right? I'm going to review his Cosworth. Because I have driven it before. I love that car. And it has some drawbacks, but it has a lot of positives too. Like, very big fan of that thing. And we'll see. Like, he lives out in Olds. And that's actually because I met him because he had his car for sale, and I messaged him to do a video on it. He said yes, and I got that done. Honestly, it was cool. And like, I didn't do a review of it though. I didn't even film myself driving the car at all. I just did a walk around of it, which in that video now on YouTube, because there's not too much content on the Cosworth Vega. If I just type in Cosworth Vega, spell it right. See how far my video is down. There we go. Not that one, not that one. Okay, so there's a few videos out there. Where's my video? Because I didn't type in my name. I just wanted to see how far down my video was, but I'm not even seeing it. Wow. This is surprising. Just had no idea that my video would not be in here at all. Because I didn't think there was that many videos on the Cosworth Vega, but there you go. There's quite a few actually out there. And and even like, and some of these aren't even Cosworths. They're just regular Vegas too. So it's kind of doing that. Right, let's just type in my name. Because I want to see how many views that video has now. It's only 650 views. Like, that is kind of sad. And I wish that video would do better, but it's one of those things where sometimes you hit a really good stride with the video and you think it's going to do really well, and other times not so much. And a review of that could go either way. Like the review of that S197, I was hoping it was going to get more views, but it hasn't. On my first review that I did, the S550, I mean, I think that has just over 1,000 reviews, which is pretty good overall, and I'm happy with that. But and that now that Mustang video, the S197 review, that actually was if I can remember what I was saying. Oh, nice! And Paul just got back to me to say that he actually got the T50 back in his car. Yeah. Dated period. Well, that's an interesting call. Yeah, and I mean, I'm still not getting. Why is this not going out to anybody? Like, I'm surprised I don't have any viewers. Like, I have one that keeps coming in and out. Um, I want to make a post. Oh, I guess I can't go off this page that way. I don't know why they make it like that. To be honest, it's dumb as hell. Okay, I gotta find it here, and I'll just copy and paste it from here. Share, create post. Come join me live on YouTube right now. Happy Easter. There, do that. Hopefully I can get some people, because I mean, I just sitting here talking to myself, and which I can do that quite well. One of the benefits of me having ADHD that way, that I can just do that. It was one of those things that I was able to do actually, because like back in school, it's kind of funny because of my ADHD. It was weird. Like, and I could not write an essay to save my life. For some reason, I just could not. When I was in school, could not write an essay. But I could write a story, and so I convinced my teachers to let me write a story as opposed to an essay, and I would get top marks doing it. It was kind of interesting that way. And so there was it was just quite interesting that way, to be honest. And it was kind of cool. Being able to do that and having teachers that were a little accommodating in that regard. But yeah, so I mean that's really cool that Paul got, has a T50 all back together, and he's gonna stab it into the car and hopefully have it a running, driving car tomorrow, which that'd be sweet. And if that's the case, because maybe we'll see. Maybe I can actually go out to Olds tomorrow. If there's nothing going on for Easter, because I don't know if there is. Nobody's told me anything, so I don't know. I don't really have much contact with my family outside of family functions, to be honest. But you know what I mean. And if Easter didn't happen this year, I wouldn't. I would be not totally upset with that, to be honest. Um, and yeah, I'd much rather do other things, to be honest. It's like my family, I kind of care for them and stuff, but it's not one of those things where I'm just like very, very excited for Easter and stuff like that. It's just not my thing. Um, and this is the time of year where it can either be really cold or really warm. And I like to be outside for family functions when I can, but this is likely going to be inside. So, and depending on where it's being held at, because I don't know if it's out in Water Valley, I don't know if it's in Calgary. Maybe it's out in Alex. I don't even know. Like, ugh. Nobody tells me anything, so oh well. It is what it is. And like, yeah, because if my dad was here, he'd tell me, but he's not even here. He's working, so he's working up north, and I'll pick him back up on Monday again. And the whole cycle begins again, where he's back for about a week, and then he goes to work for a week, and all that stuff, as long as like there's, because he flies up every Monday, flies up and down every Monday, for work. And the interesting thing is, because he works 7 days on, 7 days off, but there's apparently might be a WestJet strike relating to the pilots. So we'll see if that has any effect on this at all. Hopefully not, because he needs to be working. But and it's one of these things where I'm just very excited for what's to come on the cars and everything, and because who knows, because my buddy Keith, he's contemplating on what he wants to do with the Capri, and I, because he thought about doing the same thing I did with mine, because inline six, doing the whole manual swap and everything, because he knows all the steps now to do that. It's not that hard. It's just having the parts really is the hardest part about that. Is finding the parts, because flywheel, the bow housing itself, you could maybe modify automatic bell housing, but I wouldn't suggest doing that, to be honest. Because you're not going to have a pivot point in there, and he would have to do the exact same thing I did with mine, is get an old clutch fork. Because I don't think he could use a. He might be able to use a fox body fork, but still, fox body forks, so they're designed to have a pivot ball inside the bell housing, and well, my bell housing doesn't have that, and what we had to do to that, because had to cut up, I believe it was 3 different clutch forks to make this work. So yeah, it's just a little interesting that way, because we took the center section of the old, like the 66 clutch fork, then took the front and back of a fox body one, and then had to extend it out again. I believe we cut up a third one. I could be wrong. It may have only been the 2, and then we just made the extensions just out of generic metal around the shop. I can't remember, to be honest, but regardless, it's one of those things. And like, it would be advantageous to do that, but as well, he has got all the parts to just convert it to a V8, which, if that happens, because I would see about that motor, and because I would take it into my possession, and then what I would do actually is get it down here, which means I'd probably have to put my Dakota on the road, put it in the back of the Dakota, get it to my neighbor there, and then we can start building the header. That way I don't have to pull the engine out of my car. And then once that happens, I could see about seeing if I know anybody that is going to be going down to California at all, and seeing if they have extra room for a spare motor. Because then my buddy can start modifying the head and have the block and everything down in California. But like, as well, I could see about getting the block or getting the head machined and stuff like that. That's the beauty of this whole thing. So I don't know. We'll see. We shall see what happens. And now, because it'd be a cool thing to film, because I could film the entire process of doing a V8 conversion on an inline six car, because there's a lot of people that would not retain the inline six. They would swap it to a V8, and I could show all the steps to do that, and doing a manual swap in the process. Because that's what he would do. Because he's got a spare set of pedals lying around, and he's also got, transmissions and flywheels. He might need to buy a clutch, but he might even just have clutches lying around too. I don't know all the stuff that he has. He's got a few 302s lying around. He could even do a 351 swap if he wanted to. there's limitless opportunities for that car. And it's just interesting that way, and what you can do and how much work it takes. Because it's interesting because, like, yeah, the Fox body, it's not quite as bad as, say, a first gen Mustang for how much work it requires to do a V8 swap. On a first gen Mustang, you have to replace basically everything underneath the car. With a Fox body, you just have to replace the K member. That's it. And you can upgrade the brakes to V8 brakes because they are different. But you don't have to. You can retain the stock brakes if you want to. Although I would go to V8 brakes. They're just a little better. Or I don't even know if they're better. It's just a different style because I think they're the same, but just different calipers on them. I know that. And I believe the rotor is the same. So there's that. Oh, and what's this event? Oh, this would be so much fun, but let's see. Okay, let's start in Calgary. Oh, I would love to do that, but I don't have the money for that. Just doing a cruise like that. This is a cool one. I just got invited to this. It's gonna be happening Easter Sunday. Where start out at Cineplex Cinema in East Hills, Calgary, and go through and go to come through Rosebud to Drumheller, and then come back, and also get some food while in Drumheller. Like that, I love that, to be honest. And I love cruises like that. And I haven't really been on too many cruises at all. The only cruises I've been on is like, just not even my own car, to be honest. And now that's the one thing with cruises, as long as it's actual cruising and not racing, because there's a difference, like you can have a little bit of fun, sure, but don't go as fast as you can or anything like that, because that's something that some of the Dark Horses Mustang Club does that I'm just not a fan of. Like, there are times when, yeah, going fast is fun, but not every single time that you have to do that. Like, you can take corners at a little bit more speed and stuff like that, but going like 200 down the highway is kind of stupid. And I have never actually driven a car that quickly in my life. Never. I've been at higher speeds, but not quite that fast. And 200 kilometers an hour is, for my American folks. Because I know 160 is 100, but 2 miles per hour. There we go. Okay, so that's like 124 miles an hour. Which, I've never taken a car quite to that speed. Not yet. It will happen. My cars can actually do that. Both of them can. I'm pretty sure. Like, it just, my cars don't indicate that sort of speed, though. They go up to, I think it's 180 kilometers an hour a piece. So, the speedometers, anyways. Lilo takes a long time to get there. Same as Stitch to get to those kind of speeds, but Stitch is still faster. Still faster getting up to those speeds. Just gearing is better. But, and it weighs less, so it helps it. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, because like, and all this stuff with like Paul's, because like Paul with his Cosworth, like he's been fighting this vibration. Like when I saw the car, he was fighting this vibration in the driveline, and he didn't know where it was, and so he rebuilt the tranny in the car, and that because he thought maybe that was it. I said maybe it's the rear end. He got the drive shaft rebalanced, and that didn't fix it either. So it's one of these things. He put a different transmission in it, or he's putting a different transmission in it. He's been doing this for a while. Like, he got one out of, I think it's a V8 Monza. So it's a T50. And And yeah, and it'll be a little stronger of a transmission too for them, so that's better. There we go. Yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna invite people to that maybe. And I'll see if I can do that cruise, because I'd love to do a cruise. And actually, what was after that? Oh yeah, I have seen that one. Because there's a few different events that are coming up actually very soon, and we'll see. We'll see. What'll I do? And yeah, it's like I'm just kind of just happy with how things are going, and I can't wait to show you guys what's next in the cars and what I want to do, because there is more stuff to do on both cars. And there's one thing that might be one of my next videos. Might try and do this next week, of replacing the power steering pump on Lilo, because it needs to be done badly. Like right now, I have no power steering because that pump just leaks so bad. It's not even worth putting fluid in it anymore. So it just currently has manual steering at the moment, which doesn't hurt anything doing that, to be honest. It's just harder to turn it in parking lots. That's all. You get more control like on the roads and stuff, but that's it. And actually, what I'm going to do, just had a brain fart about that. Oh, I did not. Okay, I need to do that way. There we go. Sorry, I'm just trying to. I'm gonna see if I can get some engagement in here, just by sharing it with a couple of friends of mine. There we go. See if they're available, and that might help. But it's one of these things. Again, like my lives have not been getting any engagement whatsoever, so not sure what's up with that. But it's one of these things, and like in other stuff that I still want to film this year. We'll see if it happens. Well, they should all happen. It's just figuring out times and stuff like that to do this stuff, because there's a lot of stuff I still want to do. A lot of stuff I still want to do. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, because there's still gonna be like the header to build for my car, which will really increase performance, something severe. It's just the only thing is the reason why I don't just do that now is I don't know if I'd have it ready in time for the dyno day, because I do want that thing, and that thing needs to be on the road for dyno day no matter what. And I don't want it to be in pieces prior to that. And it'll just be interesting to see, like because if I have to take it to an exhaust shop, then I'll be driving an open header up to Leduc. And I'll just get Keith to contact the shop and be like, hey, can you set up an appointment for this thing just so that we can just get the exhaust hook back up again, please? But that's one of those things. I don't want to be in that position. And there is a header on eBay. Hi, Brian. There we go. Finally, I got a comment. Yay! It's been 45 minutes and I finally have a comment. Woo! I've had no interaction in my chat. I've just been talking to myself. I'm going insane. Insane. That's something I'll be doing here in a little while, anyways. You know, I'm just gonna make myself some, because I actually have this craft dinner that's it's the deluxe with the Velveeta cheese. It's just it's so good. So that's probably gonna be my dinner tonight. It's not, it tastes really good. It's not good for you, but it tastes good. So, and I've just been kind of just talking about, what's coming next on the car and the channel and stuff. And, like there's an auction car video coming up, and I might go back there next week and film some of the other stuff there too. And yeah, it's one of those things. It's fun. I just can't wait, And all of the car events are starting back up again, like cruises and some car meets and stuff are starting back up, which is nice. I've kind of missed going to car meets because, I've been to one car meet throughout the winter time. That was back in, I think it was February, actually. That I went up to, it was like February 28th, I think. Went up to Edmonton, and I was at this car meet. It was really fun with my car. And middle of winter, there's just snow in the parking lot and everything. And honestly, just seeing the cars there was quite cool because, like there was only one sort of kind of boring modern daily driver. The rest were classics that people brought out, and some of them are their daily drivers. But it was just very neat. Like, got a 4-door Valiant, like a 68 Valiant. Like, when's the last time you saw a Valiant from that age? To be honest, it's been a long time for me. And that one happened to be swapped with a I think it was 318 in it. And it was just, kind of a cool rig. There was an interesting, sorry, that was my cat. He decided that to stretch out and move. There's a guy that has 3, like 60, like late 60s Valiants. That's cool. You never see the Valiant. You always see darts, right? So it's unusual to see a Valiant, unless if it's like an early Valiant. You see a lot more, say, like 61 through like 65 Valiants as opposed to darts. But that's cool. That's, again, something you just don't really see up here, but I guess down there, it's neat. And I am lagging apparently. Why am I lagging? That's not it, but I can make it. Oh, there we go. Now it's coming back. I was having frame rate issues apparently. Ah, fair enough. That's cool. Yeah, like government vehicles here were mostly trucks. You didn't see very many cars, including cop cars, but that's different. It makes sense. Like, my dad had an ex-government truck. That was his 81 D150. He owned it for a year, or a little over a year, and the truck was awesome. Now he didn't buy it at auction though. He bought it off somebody else that I believe bought it at auction. And it's interesting because like the guy needed the money, like needed to sell this thing because he was moving like the next day, and so my dad lowballed the hell out of him. Picked up the truck for $375, which was more than scrap value. So, running, driving, slant six truck, automatic. If it was a stick, it would have been a little better. But being the automatic, God, that thing was just gutless as hell. But was a cool truck, and it had some unique options on it because it had a 727 automatic, which it's interesting because if after like I think it was 78 or 79, unless if it was a big block, you didn't get a 727, period. It was 904 only. So this one was optioned with the 727 in the truck, and it had 410 gears out back, just to get it to move. With the with a slant six. And what was dumb about that carburetor? Yeah, there were long shaft 904s, yeah, but this one actually had a 727 though. Like, I know it was 727 because I crawled underneath of it and looked at the oil pan, or looked at the transmission pan, and it was definitely a 727. That's the one thing between 904s and 727s. They do have different pans on them, so it was cool to see that. I'm like, wow. And this thing, galvanized body, and not really much else for options. Power steering, power brakes. That was basically it. It's kind of cool. And it's too bad. Like, I should have bought that truck off my dad. Because, but I will say that because I wouldn't have the YouTube success I have now if I had that truck. I will fully admit that. Because Dodge trucks don't have the popularity. Like, square body, different story. Square body Chevy, yeah, popularity everywhere. But, square body Dodges, not as much. And, like the first gen Rams and stuff. The 70s ones get a little more love, and so do the 60s ones, but not as much of the 80s and early 90s. Second gen Rams get a lot of love, but not as much as the first gens. And it would have been really cool to, do that thing, because I had plans, a lot of plans for that thing, because I wanted to retain the slant six and I wanted to build it out. Do a 4-barrel carb on it, or even just a 2-barrel. Because the one thing is, Canadian market, for some reason, you guys didn't get these in the States. I don't know why, but we had something that was called the Super Six, which basically 225 slant six that had a 2-barrel carb on it, and it was a 2-barrel intake. So I would have found one of those, because you can find those for next to nothing up here, and put that on it and have a nice little 2-barrel on it that's like, probably a 500 CFM or so. Because I know they like having a little more CFM in those as opposed to regular, like if it was like, because even a 250 inline six from Ford doesn't like that much carburation, but the slant sixes do. It's just the way that the design is a little interesting. But yeah, like, I would have, done like a limited slip in that truck. I would have probably swapped with the transmission. I probably would have did like a manual swap, like maybe an NV3500 or something like that in it. And yeah, did the exhaust and stuff like that. It would have been a really cool truck. And it was a cool truck, even stock. Jeez, this frame rate is brutal. Brutal. Because now I gotta watch that back on my phone and just see. Is it coming out that way? Yeah, it is. Oh, that's not good. That's not good. And there's nothing I can do to fix that, because there's nothing going on, to my knowledge. Actually, wait, there might be something. Even though my mouse is not plugged in. Oh, I need the mouse for that, which my mouse is not plugged in. Ooh. Because I wonder if it's something on the computer here, which I don't see any updates downloading. Okay, so it's just the frame rate then. Okay, that's... At least that's good. It's not itself. It's just the frame rate, so it's the computer then that's doing that. Well, not much I can do then. That's unfortunate. Ooh, what did you send me here? So okay, there'll be a mini bike and a bunch of other bikes in a shop. And you forward me a TikTok link. Yeah, I'm just looking at your link here. Nice. Yeah, at least you can hear me fine. It's annoying that the whole. Oh, see that was today. Nice. That's kind of funny. Why did that come through on the computer now? It's like I got them on my phone much quicker. That's interesting. But oh, that's you writing it. Nice. Fun. Very fun. Yeah, you riding that the little mini bike. Let's see. I would like to. Unfortunately, this is not plugged in, as you can tell. It's not a wireless mouse. I kind of wish it was, but that's okay. Um, it's a good mouse though. Like this is a SteelSeries Aerox 3 from 2022. It's the snow model, so it's white. And I've got a couple of buttons on the side, and it's a very lightweight mouse. And it's got this button up here, which that changes the color that it is. But yeah, actually, I don't know. We'll be able to showcase this. Nope, it needs an actual computer to plug into. That's all good. Because I have to get up and plug it back in over there. But I'll just keep my phone plugged in instead. That's all good. Oh, what did you send me now? Oh, jeez. The video's over a minute long. So long. I'm kidding, of course. Yeah, I'm just checking out your video here you sent me. Nice. Gotta love those, sort of cheap. And yes, for anybody that's tuning in, I know I'm having frame rate issues, and there's nothing I can do about it. I don't know what's causing that. So yeah, because it's a little, and I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard I try. But it's really cool because like actually at the auction that's coming up in it's about a week, I think is when it starts, give or take a week. Is there's some really neat vehicles, and one I've never actually seen in person. Actually, that's a lie. I have seen one in person, but actually to be like up close to it and touching it and looking under the hood and stuff, it's not something that I get to see that often. It's there's actually a lot of Neva, which like you never see those around anymore. It's kind of cool to see one. This one's been modified a bit and it's kind of sketch, but it's cool. It's cool. And I figured it was your promo video. You know, it's just kind of a funny one. You know, like that's stuff that I kind of enjoy. Yeah, very fun. It is a funny video. I will fully admit. You know, and I just love that. Like it, you know, there's actually an end credits thing that says, yeah, like in production with like iMovie. It's just priceless. Oh, and my kitty's getting up. And is he leaving me? Yep. I'm being left. That's okay. Here, you want to get down easier? Here you go, bud. There you go. Yeah, him being such an old cat that I do help him out when I can. But yeah, see, and I wish that I could throw a Duraspark ECU. Hey, there's nothing wrong with Duraspark. Come on now. They work just fine. They're great. You know what? Maybe if I do that, if I sign out, because I don't know, maybe there's something on the internet, and I don't think it is, because if you can hear me just fine. But just in case, I want to do everything I can to actually, that may have fixed it. Yeah, I think that fixed it. And there's Jesse. Hey, Jesse. I was gonna say, as somebody who, it's not the audio that I've been having problems with; it's the frame rate. So I thought I may have fixed it, but no, that was only temporary, I guess. Oh well, it's one of those things that, you know, it's still okay, but it's not great because usually, like, when I'm looking at it on the screen here, there's almost no delay typically, but like sometimes it's going back and forth, being good and bad. But yeah, it's one of those things. But it's all good. Really? That's interesting because, like, now I will say, because like I have the Duraspark 2, you know, by 81, and it works just fine for me. Now it's not like it's something that I would like to upgrade, but apparently that's like the best you can get. So, but I still want something that I can control timing on the fly and stuff like that. Would be kind of nice, but I don't think it is legit. Like, there's nothing really going on my Windows. Like, I'll even exit those two. See, that'll do it. You know, those do wear out. People don't realize that, but they do. Just like every part in a distributor technically will wear out over time. Yeah, like, and that, like, it does happen every once in a blue moon, and they do eventually wear out. Like, if it's a really high mileage motor, I mean, you know, or just sometimes they just fail. Oh, interesting. Okay. There we go. Oh, see, and that is interesting because I've never really heard any problems with them, but I mean, it does happen, I suppose. And it's just, yeah, it's one of those things that sometimes new parts can just fail randomly out of the blue. It's not like I haven't had it happen because, like, I bought. It's interesting. I had a ball joint on my car, my 81. It was. I had that ball joint replaced. A year later, I had to get it replaced again. So that was really annoying. You know, and there's not much I can do about it, but it's one of those things. You know, and then I had to get it replaced because I don't know if you remember, because people were thinking it was like the blend door actuator and stuff like that. But I'm like, no, it wasn't that. You know, because like something that I could do with the car, I could kind of be in the car, shake the car back and forth, and you could hear this kind of knocking sound coming from the front passenger side of the car. And yeah, it happened to be the ball joint, which pissed me off because I had that ball joint replaced. And it needed to be replaced again. So new parts can fail, after not long periods of time. But it's interesting because my passenger side's still on the OG ball joint. That has not been replaced. And yet it still works just fine. See, and that's so weird. Brake drums, you'd think, would be such an easy one to make. Like, for them not to get wrong. And although, actually, wait, you had brake drums up front. I would have thought you would have had discs up front, but I guess not, because I thought your trucks would have been new enough to have discs up front. But I guess drums would have still technically been the standard, I suppose. It's just kind of funny. Oh, they were just wore. Oh, okay. I thought you meant like you replaced them and then they had to replace them again. I gotcha. Oh, right. 65. For some reason, I was thinking 70s. I don't know why. Yeah, that makes sense. There's actually something that's really cool. There is, if I look on Facebook here, because at the corner, oh, 73. Okay, I gotcha. Because actually so there's a dealership just at around the corner here. Like I could throw a rock and hit the dealership, to be honest. And what are they even called? I can't remember. Because there was a dealership there before, but then that didn't last, and this dealership replaced them, and I can't remember their name. But they actually got us, I think it's 64 Ford F100, which is cool. Something you don't see very often. But it's because I know 64 was before the twin I-beam suspension. So what am I going to look at here? What I can't remember. If I just type it in here, actually, sundry dealerships. There we go. There we go. West Country Motors. That's what I was thinking. Because it should be on their website. And I'll just find it here and I'll show it up on screen. Via my phone, but I'll show it up on screen. There it is, 64 F100. It's a really cool, very cool truck here. And single cab long box, right? If I can get it focused there. Come on, focus. I don't know if I can get it to focus. For some reason it's not. There we go. Now it's focused. Yeah, that's really cool two-tone, blue on white. Gorgeous truck. They're asking 20 grand for it. I love the steering wheel and everything. And very gorgeous truck. I do too. And so like this is outside right now. Like he just picked this up a couple weeks ago, I think, and it just passed inspection and everything. So now it's for sale. It is a lot. And he gets some cool cars every now and then. Like that truck. He's gotten some like SRT8 Challengers and stuff. So yeah, that's cool. Like, and that vintage of Ford you typically don't see. Although it's interesting because that is a Ford F100, which I don't know if, because most of the Ford trucks were American trucks, while we had the Mercury trucks, because it basically it was due to tax reasons is the reason why we actually had Mercury pickups as opposed to Ford pickups. So that could either be an American truck or it could be one of the really rare Canadian Ford trucks. Because you see a lot more Mercurys from that period. You never see Fords. It's kind of cool. Oh, they are. Like, actually, so at the auction that's coming up in Olds in a couple of weeks, there's actually a couple of Mercury pickups. They're both 60s. Like the one is 64, 65 ish, and the other one is about the same vintage. They're like 1-ton trucks, but they're cool, you know. And that's what we see more up here as opposed to anything else. And actually, I just realized, is that the truck? It just dawned on me. I think I know who that Mercury truck belongs to. Or at least I met them at a car show and I can't remember their name, but I think I've seen that truck before. Yeah, it just dawned on me now. Wonder why they threw it in the auction. Because that was a really cool truck. Like, it's not mint, but it's cool because like it's pink too. You know, and that's one of those things. Cause like, yeah, and the Mercuries, all they are, it's just a rebadged Ford. That's all they are. So, like whenever you see one, you'll know that it's just a rebadged Ford. That's all it was. And it was just to get around. There was a tax with any American vehicle that was imported, so they got around it that way. Depending on year, because really the only thing that I've noticed that has changed between the Fords and the Mercury isn't okay. This is not focusing. Come on, focus. There we go. Got to focus. Yay. Um, like the only thing I've noticed is that no one says Ford emblazoned across Mercury emblazoned across the tailgate. Now, in both these trucks that I saw at auction, none of them had a box on the back of them, so they were just 1-ton trucks, with flat decks. That's true. And like the hood badge is different too. You're not wrong. But not a ton of difference though between them. Like interiors were identical. Engine options were identical. And the bodies themselves were pretty much identical too. Like there was just minor differences, but mostly just rebadged, to be honest. And it's interesting because now, mind you, I don't think I've seen so back to back, like or seeing them side by side. I don't think I've seen a Ford side, at least of that vintage, because they only made Mercuries up to 1970, and then they got rid of them. And it's just like to be honest, like, cause and because like we had a lot of GMs that were Canadian only. Like we had the Parisienne, we had the Beaumont, we had the Acadian, um, and there was one other one. I can't remember what it was called, but yeah, just kind of cool. And like we had Acadians through the 80s. Actually, it was the longest surviving of the 80s as well. Which basically, Parisienne was Chevrolet drivetrain, Chevrolet frame, and suspension and stuff like that, but Pontiac sort of body on it. So they're a little interesting that way. And we've had some other Canadian only Pontiacs, like hell, Roy Marco. He owns a Canadian only Pontiac. His Pontiac happens to be a 56 Pontiac Pathfinder, which had a 261 Chevrolet motor in it from the factory. And Brian, they didn't have more chrome, no. Like the Mercury trucks, they weren't really much different at all. In fact, there was hard differences whatsoever. Because like again, all the Mercuries were for, it was to avoid the tax that was put on Ford trucks to come into Canada, because the Ford trucks were not made in Canada, and any vehicle that wasn't made in Canada at the time was taxed. It wasn't until after, I believe it was 1970, where they stopped taxing vehicles that were made in the States. And that's why Mercury pickups stopped being made after 1970. 1970 was the final year for Mercury pickup truck. And they started that like in, I think it was the 40s. So now, and it didn't make sense for that tax made no sense, but they did it anyways. And and I think it was to try and bolster like the Canadian car market that way. But yeah, and like so, and the Acadian, depending on what year of Acadian, because you had the Acadian went all the way back to, I think it was like 1960 or 61. And what's interesting is because they're essentially a Nova. You had the Pontiac Acadian was just a Nova with a Pontiac nose and Pontiac taillights on it. That's pretty much it. But they had Chevrolet drivetrains. They had Chevrolet suspensions. They had Chevrolet interiors, but just Pontiac nose, and I believe the taillights were different. Other than that, they were the same. It's kind of cool. The Beaumont was the Pontiac version of the Chevelle, and yeah, then the Parisienne, I believe, was the Pontiac version of the it would have been the Pontiac version of, I think, a Catalina, maybe, because like there's a obviously or at least a Canadian version of a Catalina, because we didn't have the, I don't think it was the Catalina, we didn't have the Catalina, you guys did. And then we just got the Parisienne instead, which Chevrolet drivetrains. I've seen quite a few Parisiennes. They're actually quite popular up here. Beaumonts are quite rare to find, and Acadians were quite popular too. So we got lots of Acadians around, and it's something that you'll see a lot more of them up here than you do, because like obviously, like again, they were only released here, so anytime you see one in the States, it was imported. And own models of cars. And I do like them. I've always liked those, and like because now what's interesting though is because there's a little bit of confusion with the Beaumont name, because in the 60s the Beaumont name was actually used as a trim model on the Acadian. So that's for a couple of years anyways, I think up to about 64. And then the Beaumont branched off as its own model. It was either 64 or 65. Just a little interesting that way. That's how that started. And like when you see the Pontiac Beaumonts, and it doesn't matter like what sort of year, they're really cool looking. They're quite unique. And that's the one thing that I hated on, because those Rust Valley Restorers on History Channel. To where now, okay, I think Brian, you might be behind in the chat, because no, the Parisienne became no. Parisienne was not a Caprice until the 70s. In the 60s, it was a Catalina, I'm pretty sure. Because you can look up a 66 Parisienne. It's not a Caprice. It has Caprice underpinnings, but the body itself is Pontiac. 100% Pontiac. It wasn't until later, to the late 70s and into the 80s, where it became a Caprice. And that's one of those misnomers. Like, I don't really, when I think of Parisienne, I don't think of the Caprice Parisienne. I think of the 60s Parisienne, the really cool one. From, it was like 65 to like 68, 69. They were such a cool looking car. Like, if I look it up here, actually, because if I type in to 67 Parisienne, they were completely different. Like, because now the roofline may have actually been Caprice. Actually, you might be right on that. To be honest, I never saw that until now. But they have like this very unique nose, and they have different rear quarter panels. If it focuses here, like see, that's the one I think of right there, right? So I guess actually seeing that roof line, you might actually be right. And they're kind of cool looking. I really like these Parisians, to be honest. I would own one in a heartbeat. And with them being Chevrolet drivetrains, they are really cool. Because like Pontiac drivetrains are honestly really neat. However, more expensive and harder to find parts for. While Chevrolet drivetrains, you can go to literally any freaking store and go find Chevrolet parts, no problem. So yeah, and a lot of those Parisians had 283s in them, or 327s. But the at least in the 60s, the not very often that you actually saw the 6 cylinders. A lot of them were V8s. It's just a little interesting that way. And it's just, and I'd love, those Canadian Pontiacs. They're just really neat, and I would own one in a heartbeat if I had the opportunity to buy one. I would own it. Oh, they jumped platforms in the 70s, yeah. And I knew it was 70s for sure, because like the Caprice didn't really change much from like late 70s into the 80s. Like it did, you know. And yeah, because like, and I don't know. Actually, I should look. Okay, Saber, you should have food. At least I'm pretty sure you do. Do you not? Because I gotta look it up. What platform was the Parisian actually on in the 60s? Interesting. So it was GMB body the entire time. Oh, and you guys actually did get the Parisian in the 80s. I didn't know that. So apparently, from 83 to 86, you actually got the Pontiac Parisian down there. I had no idea you guys did that. There we go. So yeah, so essentially it was our version of like the Bonneville, I guess. So, and like, and first generation was as early as 59. And it's just really cool to see how they changed, and how, because like a lot of the early Parisians are just way cool, and it's interesting, you don't see them too often. Like you see a lot of sedans, you almost never see the two doors. They're kind of rare, but every once in a blue moon you'll find them. But it's kind of cool. But actually, something I got to do really quick is I really need to go to the bathroom, so I'll be right back. But it won't take me long. I'll still be able to read your comments on my phone, but I'll just do it that way. So just give me about a minute. But I can still read your comments if you decide to comment. Do not fall off there. There we go. Okay, I know you still have food. I don't know what you're mailing out there, but there we go. Okay. Kit Kats. With me. Here's the Kit Kat. With me. Here's the Kit Kat. With me. Here's the Kit Kat. There we go. There we go. And the back. Oh, that's better. Come here, kitten. Rascal, come here. Here, bud. No? You're not gonna come? Come on, you're right there. Come here. You're wanting. You're looking like you want to. There you go. Hi, buddy. I've got a kitten. But yeah, so it's just kind of the interesting thing, and like, we even had our own car manufacturer up here from. It was in the 60s. And I'm trying to remember because I think it was the brand was called, I think, Epic. And they essentially sold, it was rebadged sort of Vauxhalls, but or maybe the company was, oh sorry, wasn't Epic. Epic was one of their vehicles that they called, but it was actually called Envoy. And yeah, like it was only from 1959 to 1970 for these, which is kind of interesting. And like, and I've seen a few around, like the because the epics, I've seen some of those, and they're kind of neat to find whenever you do see them, because they are kind of rare. They didn't sell that well. There's a reason why they only lasted so long. Okay, Saber, you have food. Shut up. He's just gonna cry down the hallway because he's just one of these people. One of these cats that does that. There we go. So, yeah, it's just it's just one of those interesting companies that way, of Envoy. And yeah, like again, I've seen a few of them every now and then, and even like that junkyard that's down in Tilly there that I did that video. That's my most viewed video on the channel. That junkyard actually has an Envoy Epic in there, which is cool. It's about a 67 or 68, give or take, maybe up to 1970, but really cool to see. I haven't seen one of those in a few years actually, so kind of neat to see. And it was like untouched. That's a car that somebody could get back on the road, and it was actually looked to be in pretty good shape overall. There we go. That feels better. That was nice. But yeah, and it's just one of those things. And now it is interesting because, like, I've been watching some stuff. Ooh, good movie. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to really talk about, to be honest. And like something actually, and I know where it is, and I should talk to him because I'd love to do a video on that car. Because as I'm sure you guys are aware, I don't just like classic cars. I like some newer stuff as well. And one of my favorite cars, there's actually one in town, very, very, very rare car. It happens to be, I don't know exactly what year it is, but it's like maybe 92, 93-ish. Toyota Celica Alltrack, or for you Americans, Celica. But they were actually branded as a Celica here, and they were also branded as a Celica in Japan, so therefore it's Celica. But and the Alltrack was essentially the North American version of the GT4. So you had the all-wheel drive, you had the Turbo 3S GTE, and they made quite a bit of power. You know, like they weren't a slouch because they were what 200, 230, 250 horsepower, something like that. I can't remember the exact power numbers, but man, they were really cool. And there's one here in town. I just want to knock on the guy's door and just talk to him about it. There's also a Buick Regal here in town too. And another person's driveway that's not far away from that, so I have to ask. Cause I'm just looking up what were the power numbers on track. Okay, that was 88. I want 93. There we go. Okay, there you go. They made 200 horsepower. That's what it was. For some reason, I thought it was a little more than that. But like 200 horsepower, 200 foot-pounds of torque out of a 2-liter inline four, and 5-speed with all-wheel drive, they moved pretty good for a little car, to be honest. And they're just really, really cool. And so there's this one that's burgundy here in town that I'd love to do a video on. I'd love to own it too, but that's that's not going to happen. Though I can tell you that right off the bat. It's just one of those things because I doubt he'd sell it, and like I haven't seen it move in quite a while though, because like I've seen it on the road, and he had it at the shop. It's just down the street here for a while. And I don't know what they did to it, to be honest. And then I've seen it in his. He has a little carport out back of his house. And we'll see. Like, I mean, I'd still love to talk to him about it at least, and maybe do a video on it. Just be really cool. And definitely, like, can't own them all. There's lots of vehicles I'd love to own, and that's one of them. But will I own one someday? Perhaps. I love that car. I love that platform, and like, besides the first gen Celica, those are my favorite Celicas ever made. Is that generation? I love those a lot, and you don't see that generation that often. You see the ones after it a little more, and you see the ones before it a little more. But that one in particular, not as much. With the pop-up lights and everything, it was just beautiful. Ah, there we go. Yeah, because actually what I found on TV, it's not very loud, but I found My Cousin Vinny, which is such a good movie. And especially, towards the end, that scene with, I can't remember her name, but of course everybody loves that scene. Where she talks about the timing in 55 Chevrolet with a 327 in it. But you've never watched My Cousin Vinny? Oh my god, dude! You need to go watch it. It's a good movie, very good movie. Yeah, and it's one of these things because like it deals with a little bit of cars, but there's this sort of court battle and stuff where the wrongfully accused and stuff like that, and of this kid, which I forgot it was him. But honestly, very good movie. Very good movie. You definitely have to watch it. And like I'm not sure where you can find it, but I'm sure. I mean, you can probably pirate it online even if you have to too. But worth it. Every once in a while you see it on TV. When you do, like I always try to catch it whenever I see it on TV. So, but I am going to actually, or I don't know how to do that. Just do that. There we go. Ah, should be better. Is it on YouTube? Well, there you go. Perfect then. Yeah, you can watch that whenever because it's such a good movie. But yeah, although I think I will just end the stream though, because I don't know what else to talk about. It's just one of those times, where I've basically exhausted what all I was going to talk about when nobody was here. But being over an hour and a half in, that's not too bad. So, but anyways, do appreciate y'all coming out, and hope you all have a fantastic time, and I'll catch you later. Also, happy Easter weekend. Not sure if there's going to be a live stream tomorrow. I'd have to ask on Novitaz's channel, but just for Easter weekend. Not that it's Easter Sunday or anything, but you never know. I should be, yeah. As long as I don't have anything else going on, because I don't know if I will. Because there might be a family function that I'm not aware of. I'm not sure. We'll have to see, because it is Easter weekend. So, but I'll actually ask in there too if he's actually gonna have the stream tomorrow, just because of Easter. Because sometimes on holidays he doesn't do them, even though I think he should. But regardless. So yeah. But if he has it and if I'm available, I'll definitely be there. So, good night, Desi. And for anybody that's watched to the end, thank you.